Welcome back, everybody. This is John Kiesling, founder of WildSport. Got with us a couple of exciting guests. We've got Mike Lewis with our team here, and we've got Matthew Walker joining us, who's been a colleague and a friend for a very long time. Our flight engineer today is again Artie, and he will direct us. But before we get into things, let's just go around the room. Quick introductions. Mike, tell us a quick 30-second about who you are and what you've done.
Mike Lewis. Today I am actually coming to you guys live from Orem, Utah. I'm here for my daughter's high school graduation. And I've been with Wild Support for just going on 2 years now and happy to be here.
Happy to have you. It's exciting to get us into a podcast realm. How about you, Matthew? Tell us 30
Oh,
seconds.
will do. Congratulations, Mike. That's exciting to be over there. But my name's Matthew Walker. I am an attorney. I also work out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, but going to be moving to Utah here soon and setting up an office over there. I have to say the legal disclaimer. Anything that I say today is not legal advice. I'm not giving you advice. I am not your attorney. You are not my client. Nothing should be construed as telling you that you should or should not do something legally. That's about me. I'm a boring lawyer that gives disclaimers.
Void were prohibited, no warranty express or implied,
Exactly.
no purchase
Y-
necessary.
any lawsuits based off of this podcast must be brought in the jurisdiction of Wyoming.
Hey, I like that one. How about you, Artie? 30 seconds.
I'm Artie. I am running the behind the scenes. I am the Wizard of Oz here. Um, and that's pretty much all I'm gonna say right now.
Yeah, you've got a bit of experience on podcasts and other kinds of forms of media, so we're glad to have you help and direct us on this new adventure. So this is our fourth broadcast, third one that's being recorded. So yay that. What is the title of today? I didn't catch that one.
May the fours be with you.
Love it. So we're heading into Memorial Day weekend. That's kind of exciting. Um, don't have any plans on my side, but I know there's going to be a little bit of work. Um, let's uh, let's maybe talk about some of our things that have come up. There's some new stuff in the news that's kind of exciting. I know Microsoft has rolled out a new AI chat companion to merge in with your desktop, and being very vague on this on purpose because I don't think Microsoft knows what they're doing with it yet. But ready or not, it's installed on your computers. Um, so we're just kind of figuring this out right now. I believe the tool right now is called Reflect. Is that right?
Recall.
Recall. Yeah. Um, basically, that does a screen capture of your system every 3 seconds and keeps a copy online or on your system online for it to scan and help you remember things you did up to 3 months ago. That's kind of an exciting topic. We want to see what the security and privacy implications are with that. What else we got in the news?
Mike?
Um, One of our customers got told no when they asked to be removed from a solicitation list. Thought that was pretty interesting. So it brings a good opportunity to go over, what do you do in those instances? What can you do? I mean, obviously, this person reached out directly to the person who sent the email, asked to be taken off the list. And what happens when it doesn't happen? Are there places you can go? Unfortunately, because this came from a Google Gmail account, yes, there are some things you can do. Google has a policy. A lot of the email providers do have policies for abuse, which that would be considered. So we can take a look at that for a little bit.
Very cool. Matthew, do you have any topics you'd like to bring forth?
Oh, I'm just here to go with the flow. You know, I've got plenty of random knowledge and facts I could just spew at you, but you know, I'm happy to just be here, contribute when I can, answer any questions, uh, ask questions of my own because I am not as much of a techie guy, so I'll be providing the common perspective here. If anything ever starts getting a little over my head, I'll let you guys know.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. So I think let's just dive into the obvious big one, the Microsoft. Um, the idea of installing their chatbot into your computer doesn't seem like it's a well baked idea yet. I mean, it's had some issues. Uh, the online form, um, but this new idea of doing a screen capture every 3 seconds has a lot of privacy advocates up in arms, saying, "Now, have you thought this through all the way?" So I guess the question is, can your computer be called to testify against you? I think that'd be the first thought in my mind is if it's recording things on your screen, and since we've got an attorney in the room, can your computer be subpoenaed?
You know, that's a good question. So that goes back to your Fifth Amendment right, the right against self-incrimination, and that comes down to that question that the courts would have to answer. You know, can I get into this log or this folder or this file that has all the activity of someone for the last 3 months? Is that considered self-incrimination for law enforcement to go and grab that? Um, I mean, the question has already kind of been answered a little bit in some ways by different courts around the country in regard to cell phones. You know, can I force you to unlock your cell phone so that I can get after your information that's in your cell phone? And I imagine courts would take a similar approach to that. And the answer generally for that one is, compelling that decryption of information. Uh, the Fifth Amendment protects against that. That the for the most part, but different courts are going to take different positions. That's one of the beauties of living in the United States. Every state can take a different stance on it until the United States Supreme Court says something about it. Who knows how each different state is going to treat it? I tend to err on the side of protecting rights of citizens, so I think it makes sense. Don't let the government get at that information. Now, if they just stumble upon it, they don't have to decrypt anything. They just turn on your computer and it's readily available to them. That might be a little bit different than if they need to get your password. The courts might treat that a little bit differently. But that just goes to make sure you've got good security on your computer. And I worry about this too. Answering that question, I ask a question back to you. I just imagine what if you're looking at your banking records,
Yeah.
and now we've got all these scammers that try to get access to your computer through TeamViewer, and now suddenly they could just run a quick command, open up a Windows command prompt and tell it to copy all the files from that recall folder and send it to them, and now they can just look through that information, get something. Maybe if someone checks the little eyeball button to see their password, and now you have the login information for that person's bank account.
I can
Yeah. Whereas
address
if
that. In the articles that I read regarding this, Microsoft has said that certain things like password fields will not be visible on the screenshots, and the data that is retained in the snapshots that it takes will be encrypted, specifically keyed to the account that is currently active. So if somebody tries to copy the files, they'll just get garbled mesh.
that's putting a lot of faith into Microsoft's
Oh yeah,
tumblers of security. The LastPass hack that happened a while back, where they actually got the whole vault. There's been a lot of crypto millionaires that have lost all of their crypto because they didn't change their password after the LastPass hack. And it's not that the password was out in the open; it's that they ran the vault against a whole bank of GPUs with the express intent of hacking through um, and getting it. So if you got like if you had a high value target, like a bank manager or somebody like that, if you got a hold of their encrypted screen session, you basically have a camera on their computer for the last 3 months. I think that's actually a pretty high value target. There's anybody in the security field, anybody that's protecting uh, money, anybody's protecting privacy and confidentiality and laws, or you know medical. I mean, it's an interesting concept of a hacker getting in, and they're not just going after passwords and stuff. Now they're going after your screen.
What I find really interesting about this is that this announcement of this recall feature comes on the heels of Microsoft's previous announcement where BitLocker, the encryption security that is built into the Windows operating system, is going to be enabled by default on future versions of Windows. So lot it seems like some people have been kind of connecting the dots, that kind of one leads to the next. Like, yeah, we're going to force the BitLocker encryption, and then maybe that's what justifies the it's okay now that we this, because it's going to be behind that BitLocker encryption. But you know, BitLocker, that's for the information stored on the long-term storage media. Once that computer is active and running and talking on the internet, if I have it pulled up on my screen, it's pulled up on my screen. Anybody that has access to my computer at that point can read what's on my screen or what was recently on my screen. I think if I'm not mistaken, didn't I also read that the recall feature, it's taking those screenshots, isn't it also applying some optical character recognition to convert to text some of the things that it finds on the screen to save it that way?
It's given it some sort of AI
Hmm.
reading capabilities. I don't
Like
know if it's OCR, but
is
it's
it to
definitely
index it and to create some kind of a search ability with that? But yeah.
it's a cool idea. I mean, to be able to just say, "Hey, computer, I was thinking about this about a month ago. Can you tell me what I was thinking?" And maybe it can tell you. But I think if the market has told us anything, Microsoft doesn't have the most secure operating system out there. As a matter of fact, they're patching dozens of 0 days every month. That's probably more than that's not fair. They're patching lots and lots of security holes, and some of them are left open because they've said it's vulnerable by design. Um, like the Microsoft print nightmare is the term that's been given to it. They can't secure that because it has to be insecure by design. Otherwise, system administrators have to type in their name and password for every printer change, like use paper tray 2 instead of paper tray 3. So Microsoft, I hope they get this right, but I'll tell you right now, our policy is no screen captures, period. We're not going to have this tool enabled on any of our devices, and we will absolutely shut it down on all our customers that don't want it. Um, we don't want it sneaking in on the back door, and we certainly don't want that vulnerability. Because Matthew, you brought up a great point on that. If a hacker gets command line access, can they ask the AI a question? I forgot my bank account. What was it?
Hmm.
What was my mother's maiden name?
I'm glad that's the first question you thought. I mean, I would probably be asking, like, show me the best memes this person has looked at for the last 3 months, and then social engineer that information against that person.
Well, I mean, I think this takes the social engineer, the human out. We've always said that we are the weak link in security. That humans sitting at the keyboard typing, we are the weakest link in the chain. Not the only ones that fail, but I think we're adding in AI, which has probably about the stability of a 2-year-old on sugar right now. That we're putting that link in the security chain, and who's to tell it no? Where's the guardrails?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's becoming that never-ending fight of how can I get illegal information from the AI chatbot, and then who's liable once that information is out.
Yeah. So yeah, I think probably the best recommendation I could offer anybody that asks is don't run AI that you don't understand how to use on your system. It's cool, but if it's not locked down and it's not secure, it's not your data. It's a machine that's doing things for you behind your back and thinking for you that you may not want or expect. So we'll see what Microsoft does with this. I know they rolled it out on a beta. I'm curious when they're thinking of rolling this out in the mainstream, because a lot of people are freaking out right now.
Well, and that too with the BitLocker change in default, that BitLocker is defaulting to enabled. A lot of people have been talking about that they don't want that encryption by default. And there are a lot of scenarios where I have a storage device that maybe the computer breaks, catastrophically breaks, and I need to get that storage media out of there and put it into a different computer. If all that data is encrypted, that doesn't help me. It makes the job harder to do. I either have to have the key to be able to unlock that, or I don't know. Or you run without the encryption enabled. And a lot of people have been talking about lately is how do I bypass the default encryption? How do I get it so that it just runs like a normal computer? Well, now we've got two things that are now kind of opposed, that if I get some kind of an AI feature that I need to have protected and encrypted, but I also want to have access to my data, that's a conflict right there. I got to pick one or the other.
I mean, it's always that push pull, right?
Mhm.
It's how secure can we make it before people want to stop using the keys?
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
actually had a client. Go ahead.
yeah. I was just saying, I was watching a skit. I don't know if you guys have ever watched Viva La Dirt League, but it's a YouTube channel, and they have little skits, and they work at a tech store. And there's a recent video from like a week ago where someone wants administrator privileges, and they have to go see the administrator, and it's like the Matrix, where they go in and see. There's this like wizard guy in the middle of a white room, and they have to ask him for permission so that this one employee can print a document from a certain printer. It's like, oh, how many hoops do you have to jump through? The convenience versus security.
Mm.
Obviously, you can make it super secure. But I did have another question too. How how can I check and see if this is on my computer at home? Like, is it on Windows 10? Is it only on Windows 11? Is there a certain version number? Do you guys know? And then if it is, how can I disable it?
So far, I've only seen it on 11. I think Microsoft is really trying to find a way to kill their Windows 10 version. Um, I can't say for sure how to kill it, because I think each version they're going to change the settings and how to get into that control panel. Well, you just got to poke around and say stop doing it. Um,
one thing,
my computer right now has a little icon in the bottom right corner saying, "Hey, here, check out Copilot."
one
It's
thing
like
that's
make it go
funny,
away.
um, somebody had the AI turned on by default when they got onto their system, and their response to that was to ask the AI how to uninstall it, because there was no visible option, and it walked him step by step through how to uninstall it, how to disable it on his system. And so there's also that. Using the tool against itself.
Dear chatbot, how do I kill you?
Oh, when it figures out how to stop telling us that, we're in trouble. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge because I I see AI as kind of like the buzzword that crypto was a couple years back. It's crypto this, crypto that. I mean, it got so bad that there was credit cards that were crypto enabled, and who knows even what that means. They're just putting a buzzword onto the backside. I'm not 100% the details there, so don't take that for anything but riding a bandwagon. But I think AI is too loose of a term to describe what the systems are doing. And I think we need more granularity in the world to say this tool is using machine learning about the user. This is using machine learning about programs and the interactions between the OS. And just kind of like, give more visibility, and instead of saying it's that mystic, timey-wimey thing. It's AI. It's just a thing. Like, it's a smart computer now. No, tell me what it's doing. I think there should be truth in advertising. I think there should be a like a not a warning label, maybe a warning label on top of what these products do, what systems it touches. Like when I open up my Android, I can see what permissions these apps need. Does AI need root level access on my system? Mm,
And you can call me paranoid, but these companies make money by collecting data on people. So you're going to have to be stupid if you don't believe that there's something going on where Microsoft is getting some type of data out of you because of this large language model that is now on your computer collecting an image every 5 seconds and creating some type of profile about you. And they can say they aren't collecting it, they can say they're not storing it,
mhm.
but that it's there somewhere, even if it's on your computer encrypted, and somebody can get access to it, and then that data can be sold, and you're not private anymore. And some people don't care about that. They're the average Joes that are just like, you know what? I will take that risk so that I can know the pizza recipe that I found 2 months ago, and I can ask my computer to relocate it for me. But I'm the kind of person that I keep my kids' names off the internet, because I want them to have some semblance of privacy, and not have targeted ads as they're driving past billboards in 20 years that are directly correlated to them and their vehicle. I see that as the world that we're going to if these things remain unchecked.
Well, the European Union has brought some of that in check. They're putting
Yeah.
out legislation blocking stuff like that. Like when you go on a website right now and you get the pop-up asking you if you accept the cookies, deny cookies, one of the big reasons that that's coming up is because of the law changes over there. And there's going to be one coming soon, going into effect soon, I should say, that there won't be a pop-up anymore. It's just automatically denied.
Yeah, I was watching the Security Now podcast. It's one of the few that I'll actually give a shout out here. Um, they There was an audit of the cookie, accept all cookies, reject all cookies. There was an audit that they talked about, and more than 80% of websites failed the audit. You tell it to reject all the cookies, they didn't care; they just kept going.
Really? Mm.
And
So yeah, it's
there will be penalties going forward after this goes into effect.
that's one of those double-edged swords, right? The internet's multinational, it's worldwide. Anybody can do anything. Do these laws apply in Zimbabwe? Do they apply in uh, the countries where the internet and the legal system there just doesn't exist in as well as it does in like the United States and Canada, or worse yet, how about How about nation states that we're not friendly with, like Russia or some of those other more intense places? You know, if 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 North Korea doesn't respect our cookies, what are they going to respect? And
Yeah,
how do
I
we
mean, there
enforce it?
if there's no way to enforce the penalty, it's not a penalty. It's not a deterrence. So if someone in Singapore has a website that collects cookies, even though they say they don't, because they advertise to people in Europe, what's the European Union going to do? File
And
a
that's
lawsuit against them, try to go and steal their assets down in Singapore, but then Singapore has to cooperate. The banks down there have to cooperate.
that's where I'm
People
afraid
are
that
going to find havens.
we're gonna start seeing the internet get broken by well-meaning legislation that doesn't understand the technical implications of telling a DNS service they need to deregister or delist. Like Quad 9 actually got in trouble. Um, Sony sued them and said, "Here's a pirate site. Take it off of your DNS registry." And Quad 9 has nothing to do with publishing it out or taking the registration for that site. They just take the list and serve it to the world. But they lost that case. So I don't know what. No, I don't know what my point is there, guys. Just it's interesting that we're trying to legislate technology and we don't even have the technology all the way figured out.
On that note of, so the recent conflict between Russia and Ukraine has led to a lot of the rest of the world no longer allowing connections on the internet into Russia. And Russia has created their own internet for their country. So as legislation gets more, um, shall we say, heavy-fisted, there's a chance that there are going to be more splinter networks that pop up like that. And who knows what's going to happen, 10 years down the line.
Well, Matthew, you brought up an interesting point about holding data hostage, and with these splinter nets coming up. One of the other subjects I wanted to bring up tonight, just to get everybody's thoughts. There was a um, darknet marketplace. It's called the Incognito Marketplace. Shut down a couple months ago, and the admin did a exit scam that was pretty intense. Um, so we're all familiar with the darknet. It's a place you just don't go unless you're, into shady things for whatever reason. But this marketplace had done about $100 million worth of transactions, and the admin, I'm going to say his name badly, Lin Ru Sang. Ooh, not sure. Like I say, I'm going to say it badly. I apologize a little bit. On his way out the door, he locked down all outgoing payments to the drug suppliers, but took money from the people buying the drugs on his site. Um, he took all their accounts and messaged them all and said, "You pay me money, or I'm gonna release the physical address you've been shipping stuff to." I mean, he turned on his clients pretty hard. So I don't know. You guys heard anything about this?
I'm just curious how he got caught. I mean, it's inevitable if you have that many people that are willing to access the dark web and go into incognito and start purchasing illicit substances. They're going to know how to navigate things, find your information. So you're going to get caught. I'm just curious how it happened in this case.
So I'm going to read back what I read. I'm not going to read. I'm going to pull from memory. The OPSEC was just terrible. He used his name in the registration of a lot of the supplementary components. This kid's 23 years old. He developed a technology that had a proof of work firewall that I don't understand it much, but it's supposed to slow down the brute force attacks and DDoS attacks on a system. So he used his proprietary tech to block access to these servers. It's pretty quick to put two and two together that this kid with the revolutionary technology might have some interaction. So I started looking at that. And then they found crypto wallets owned by the guy were used to transact some of the stolen funds. And so the law enforcement has had a massive paper trail of domains registered, paid for by funds that were siphoned off of the website. Money going into some of the laundering sites. You put $1,000 of Bitcoin in one side and you get $1,000 out the other side in quote clean coins.
Can't
They
launder
were
something that
monitoring.
has a you can't launder something that has a blockchain.
Oh, could you imagine? I mean, just living in that sense of false security that I'm using Bitcoin and it's untraceable.
Just takes time.
Yep. But yeah, so they tracked him through just mistake after mistake after mistake. He might as well put a neon sign on the front of his house saying, "Here I am." Um, he put private information in public places, in a lot of places that had not direct links on the website. It's the darknet website, but the darknet website wallets and um, hosting information, all that stuff. Just you follow the breadcrumbs, and he didn't even try and hide his name on some of that stuff. So
He lacks the common sense that
Well,
was given to the gentle turnip.
I want to ask the follow-up question as to what should he have done to hide his information better?
oh
If
gosh,
anybody
if
watching and listening wants to set up their own illegal controlled substance selling website, how do they hide their ID? No, I won't answer that question.
I'll say
I
it this way: there are some podcasters out there that are taking up the crusade. They think that having narcotics transacted online is safer than having narcotics transacted in shady neighborhoods,
Back
um,
alleys.
and that they can walk people through that. I'm not one of those. I don't think narcotics improve the state of the world. I think they distract people from making the world a better place. But yeah, it's if you were going to be safe online, you need to think, how do I keep and Matthew, your question's interesting because the same techniques that you would use to hide yourself in nefarious ways are kind of the same techniques you need to use to protect yourself for doing good.
Hmm.
And that's where these well-intended legislators get in trouble, is because to disarm privacy protections that we use to keep our data safe are the exact same protections bad guys use to do bad things. So my ultimate answer on all this is um, double and triple check everything you do, and monitor. Don't just sit there complacent thinking everything's fine. There's a meme, as our podcast gets better, I want to be able to put pictures and stuff up. There's a meme I saw that guy's sitting in front of a computer. His wife's looking at his shoulder and says, "Hey, what are you doing on the dark web?" And his response was, "I forgot my password. I'm looking it up."
It's true.
So it's a sad state of affairs, but I think we're getting to a point where we need some sort of proof of who we are online that's incontrovertible. I don't know what that could possibly be, though.
They are trying to do that through various legislation right now, and none of it is actually approaching it from a security standpoint because when your information is linked to you, you are now trackable. Like flat out, you are trackable. There's no hiding anything that you're doing if you're logging in as you. And it's why VPNs have gone for sale, or sales for VPNs have gone up in states like Utah and Texas and what is it, Virginia, after they passed certain no adult content laws.
Yeah, that's one of those sad realities. The internet is filled with adult material, and where there's a will, there's a way. But yeah, it's. I'm excited to see what happens. The best thing I can offer to our listeners is we can teach you some best practices. We can teach you how to surf safe, and that's not necessarily surf to adult websites, but you get to your banking website, um, get to the resources that you need to conduct your business, to get to cloud resources and back yourself up, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, this kid's OPSEC was just absolutely atrocious. He had no sense of self preservation when he was doing this. The piece that just absolutely floored me was that he was holding his users hostage. I mean, by starting a darknet website that's selling drugs, you have decided enemy number one is every country that has a war on drugs. So they're going to be after you. And then you go after your users. Okay, they're going to be after you. Any co-admin on the system, they're going to try and figure out how to be, uh, you know, a, instead of a co-defendant, a witness against you. So this is it was a bad idea to do that.
I
No,
just saw
no
he got
honor.
arrested at JFK Airport in New York. So then traveling to the United States, that was his next problem.
And his destination wasn't the United States. He was on a layover between two countries, and they figured out who he was, and they said, "Oh, he'll be here next week." No,
So,
it's
Mike,
definitely a lesson in a lackadaisical approach to security. As much as we laugh at it, um, I have worked with my previous experiences before wireless support. I've worked with people that have the same lackadaisical approach towards security for themselves. Like, I use one password for everything, and it's 6 digits long. You can't do that. Well, he did, but it's just tempting fate.
so Mike, you wanted to
Mhm.
discuss something regarding uh, being refused on opting out.
So this was interesting, and I'm gonna go into my notes here to read it. It was an email that one of our customers received, and we teach our customers how to watch for spam and scam emails and all that. And she looked this over, and it was definitely just a spam advertisement, someone trying to make a quick $60 per month. um it looks like they're offering the services of growing your YouTube channel, increasing your number of subscribers both safely and practically. They hit some bullet points about what makes them, a great choice for this kind of service, and then offers, that our packages start from just $60 per month, and asks if this would be of any interest. And it's signed Kind Regards. Now, the first thing is, and in my notes, I've actually eliminated like personally identifiable information like email addresses, but it came from just a standard Gmail account, not an actual business email. So the email was the person's name, maybe a number, something, just a generic username at gmail.com. And that's possible. I mean, there's a lot of independent contractor type people out there that just want to, independently contract doing these kinds of services. The customer read through it, asked actually initially if there's anything wrong with this, like if they should be worried about a virus or something malicious in the email. And I said, no, it looks like it's just a advertisement that's been sent to your mailbox. And so they did the responsible thing to respond back and say, we're not interested. They said, no, take this email off of your list because they don't want to be solicited anymore by these advertisements. Well, our customer got a response back. Let's see. The original message was sent May 1st at 9:30 in the morning. She sent the response back. I'm not sure exactly at what time. It looks like it's on the 2nd. And then on the 3rd, she got a response back and it said no. The person who sent the soliciting email said no. And she's like, can you believe that? Like, what do I do? And so it got me thinking, like, what do you do in those kinds of situations? Well, fortunately, because it is a Gmail account, that means we could theoretically go to Google and file a complaint. I'm going to see if I can open this link here and just look at what the link is I got. And if Artie, I think you have access to the link too, if you want to post the link in the chat or make that available. But it links to Google's spam and abuse policy as it relates to Gmail accounts. And there are terms and conditions that everybody agrees to and signs up for when they set up a Gmail account. And one of those things being that they're not going to use it for malicious intent, of course, and that they're not going to abuse the services and everything. And this page, when you go to it, it does actually give you some directions for how to address an email that might be, or an email account that might be violating the Google terms of service. So we can send a message to abuse at or postmaster at, and then use the domain where the abuse is happening. This would be especially useful if you find out that a company is using Google's mail services. Every company that registers the domain and has it tied to a Google Workspace or Google email account is going to by default get those abuse and postmaster addresses added to their Google Workspace, because maybe it could be a company, but it's a single user that's abusing that. And so whoever the IT person is that manages that account can then address it. But yeah, we can go to Google. We can bring these things up. And I don't know, Matthew, how many times in your experience have you ever had to bring something to the attention of like Google or Hotmail or Yahoo or a lot of these other places where has anyone ever thought to actually take up an issue and say, hey, this person's spamming me with a bunch of mail. Can you get them to stop? Has anyone ever had any experience where it's been effective? Have they had a case where they had some interaction and it worked it out? Or what's been your experience?
I'd have to look up and do some research on. It's not really the area of law that I practice, but it seems to me that that would be the most effective way to go about it, is try to attack it at the source first, before even getting the law involved. Especially since, number one, we don't know where this person is located. Even though they're soliciting people here in Wyoming or wherever else it may be, you can contact the Wyoming Attorney General and they'd say, we can't do anything about this. We don't know who this person is.
Mm-hmm.
And we can send them a strongly worded message, but we can't force them to stop unless we know who they are and can bring them here and charge them with a crime. So going to Google, I think, makes the most sense first. Send a letter to them, say, and Is there a way to figure out, even if it's like a business email address, to figure out who the mail provider is, whether it's Outlook or Google? Is there an easy way to do that?
There would be ways that you could, depending on how accurate. Now, here's the thing it gets into. I I erased the the sender's name originally, but it did have Jones. So let's just say that it's John Jones. We're just using a pretend name now. How do we know that John Jones's email didn't get compromised somehow? You know, how do we know that a company didn't get its mail server hacked and it's used? And so that's where the malicious actors really make a lot of trouble because they're making somebody who has a legitimate Gmail account who probably doesn't normally send emails like this, but now their account address is being used and it makes them look bad and it gives them a bad reputation. I've had to face this before with a previous company that I worked for where our domain was flagged as not necessarily malicious, but problematic. Because a hacker was able to get in old account or something, or use the email address of an old retired account and spam a bunch of people. Well, now the reputation of the domain goes down. And so other organizations, when we try to send them a legitimate email, it gets blocked or rejected because their spam filters have it set to check with certain service providers to say, what's the reputation of this domain? Oh, it sucks. Oh, well, then we're not going to accept the email because it might be spam. And so we have to go through a process to say, hey, you need to delist us. We're legitimate. These email addresses are the approved email addresses. Anything other than this, you can mark as spam. And it can be quite a hassle. And there's sometimes where it's not even just your domain, but it might be the mail server that the email is coming from. Now, that's a little bit different because there's a lot of small businesses that can't afford a lot of money for a website and for email hosting. And so they sign up for what we call a shared server, shared services. Okay. That means that there's one physical unit, but that one physical server is actually handling abc.com, xyz.net, a whole bunch of different domains, but it's all at the one same IP address. And when somebody does something malicious, like spams a bunch of people, they look, so what mail server did that come from? Oh, it came from 1234. Well, now 1234 has a bad reputation, and everybody who's using the 1234 server gets a bad reputation or gets their email blocked because that server has a bad reputation. And so it causes a lot of problems for people in that instance where they don't have complete control over the equipment and the services. And it's tough. Yeah, we can go to Google, but Google might then, tell the person, "Hey, your email was spamming other people." And the person could come back and say, my account got hacked 6 months ago. I have stopped using it. You know, what can I do? I'm using a totally different email account now.
That to me
That's
sounds like a fantastic advertisement for you guys.
Mhm.
we do a lot of mitigation and protection for our customers. It's there's a lot of businesses that start up that do Google, gmail.com or outlook.com to do their transactions. So you have, you know, Matthew Walker at outlook.com as your email address and you're working that, but that's not representative of you or the firm or any of the other things that you've got. It's just an email address and it's commingled in with everybody else. Now it's a good reputable server and they have rules. So we can go say, hey, here's a scammer that's using outlook.com, and then it goes away. But It's a mix. We always recommend that when you're running a business, you should have your business brand identity be a name, a number, an email address, all coalesced underneath one identity. That way, when you're working with people, it's yosupport.com. It's 307 support for our phone number. It's uh, um, we don't hand out our cell phone numbers because that's not how you get a hold of a company. That's how you get a hold of a person. Uh, we will transfer to each other. We'll have extensions, all that. So having everything looped into a business will just help you in your security posture with the world. Um, I think probably the number one thing we can do to help somebody that's getting attacked like this is just help walk them through those steps. A service we offer our clients right now is if you get a scam message or something doesn't feel right, doesn't smell right, send it to us. We'll check it out, and we do that for free for our clients. As a matter of fact, that's one of those ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. Because if we can thwart a bad link or a bad CSV file or some sort of inroad that a hacker has by saying, no, this is a scam, then we've dodged a bullet. Whereas if we have customers that click the link or open the file and they get hit, that just costs everybody time and money and frustration. So we really advocate for proactivity instead of reactivity.
Yeah, and I think that knowledge, to go back to your question, Mike, what can I do to fix it? Legally, you could spend $10,000 to do a manhunt and sue this person for sending you some type of unsolicited solicitation, or you can just block their email address. And if everybody has that knowledge of just, okay, this person has told me they're not going to take me off this list, if they have the knowledge of how to just make it so they never see that information, suddenly that person's solicitation effects are null and void. They're worthless because nobody's receiving that information. So knowledge and know-how is probably the best way to attack that would be my answer. So, or hire you guys to do it for them.
Definitely. And that's a measure that it takes some time too, that we had to look at incoming emails a lot of times. We had to check spam filters. We had to do a lot of different things to fine tune and tweak our system. This is at this last job that I was referring to make sure that we were getting the best performance we could and that we weren't blocking anything unnecessarily, because we did still need to conduct business and advertise ourselves and receive brand new inquiries from potential customers. And so we still have to keep that door somewhat open. And so my favorite thing was that on our website, now most people have a website and they have some kind of a contact us form. And instead of putting a direct email address on there, they put the form there, type the message in here, and use the form to send the message. And then that form was set to process, and it sent it to me and our sales guy and a couple other select people. Well, we were starting to get a lot of solicitations through our form, people offering services to us, which that's not what the form is for. We want sincere, genuine inquiries of what services we can offer them. So I put in an option, drop down menu, said, what is the general subject? What's the purpose of your contact? Like, I want to learn more about this, or I want you to come look at my, whatever, come visit me and give me a bid or whatever. And then I put one that says, I want to sell you something, right? I put that as an option. I want to sell you something, right? And I programmed the form to say, if it's this option, it goes immediately to the trash. And I checked the trash, and there was a lot of submissions in there. Like, they actually picked that and like, yeah, I can improve your SEO performance on your website and da 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 da. And It went straight to the trash. And so it's just things like that to filter out all the noise. And then we did have customers, it's like, I sent you an email a week ago, did you not get it? And I'd have to jump into the spam filters and say, oh yeah, their email got blocked. Like, you guys might want to check your mail server. There might be an issue with it that's getting flagged as spam. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got. Thanks for the heads up on that. I think we bring to our customers decades worth of IT experience, and it's one of those things. I'm sure you run into that, Matthew, where you've got some legal background. You'll work with company owners that are savvy with the law. They can write their own contracts. They can do that stuff. They come to you for that expertise, that experience, to make sure that they're covering their bases, they're doing it right, or more importantly, they've just run out of time and they need somebody to help them do it. We kind of fall in that same category with IT. We have just to get on the self promotion side of things. We do IT services for companies that are in need of an IT resource on site, or somebody on site needs a consult or a second opinion or that sounding board. We'll help those customers out too. We've got clients that have a full-time IT staff. We jump in and help them with projects or questions, or just general maintenance. If they don't want to run scheduled automated tasks and they don't want to monitor that or something, we can do that for them. So it's whatever a customer needs, we can rise to that occasion and solve those problems.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's good. And we didn't pay you to say that, right?
No, no, I'm not getting compensated in any way for being today. I'm not a paid actor. If I was, I'd be a really bad and ugly actor. Um, I would not be worth the money. So, unless anybody had any other things they wanted to talk about, just kind of full circle with lots of the things that we've been talking about. I kind of have an anecdote I could share. Uh,
Yeah.
but have maybe you guys have even heard of it or seen it in the news. But there was this song. It was called "Ulterior Motives," or everybody knows that, or something like that.
Everybody
That
knows it.
somebody had posted. Everybody knows it. Yeah. So Artie knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And it is a 30-second clip of distorted, not very good audio. This person posts on Reddit or something, or Tumblr, I can't remember where, and says, I want to know where this song comes from. Can anyone figure it out? And people go through and listen to the lyrics, analyze it, try to figure out, okay, what is this song and where does it come from? There are theories that it was like somebody's cousin who just pre-installed it in a bunch of Chinese knockoff stereos that you push a button and it just plays it as a sample song, and that's all it was. And when people started pressing this guy who asked the question more, okay, tell us more information about this, he just kind of vanishes. He disappears, and I'm not taking any other questions. It blew up. I don't care. Until just recently, I don't know if it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago, someone posted an answer. I found it. And the answer to where it came from, all it takes is you have to listen to the full clip and you hear adult sounds in the background of the music. It turns out it comes from a 1980s adult film. Hence the guy saying, okay, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. And now it's become kind of a joke to make fun of this guy. He heard this song while listening to an adult film and was like, yeah, that's really catchy. I should ask the internet for that. And then not expecting that the internet's going to do what the internet does, find this weird, obscure 1980s song. And yeah, the internet can find you. So that kind of goes, we talked about adult films. We talked about being found out. from people on the internet. Talked about security, not hiding who you are. People know who this guy is. So, and can mock him personally now because of his taste.
Side thing on
That's
that.
a great summation. Go ahead,
Side
Artie.
thing on that that's actually pretty cool is that the brothers that created the song, they are now getting a lot more people are noticing their music, and they're actually going to re-record that and have it released as an actual track instead of, bad 80s movie.
You don't say.
Good for them.
Well, I mean, it took a few years to get there, but they got famous.
Yeah.
Yeah. For all the right reasons.
Maybe that'll be the title of our next one. For all the right reasons.
I'll make a note.
Well, I appreciate everybody tuning into our podcast. Gentlemen, it's been a lively conversation. I appreciate your input, your thoughts, your time, and your talents. I don't want that to ever become a rote thing to said. It's genuine. Appreciate you all. And to all those you watching, definitely want to see you next week. We're going to be doing this on a weekly basis. Tune in next time, and yeah, we're going to get bigger and better. Until then, everybody, I'm going to sign off. Mike,
All right.
anybody
We'll
want to
see
say
you guys
anything?
later. Nope, I'm good. That's a great
Adios.
show, guys.
We'll call that a wrap. Thanks, everybody.